makeup items have got a petrochemical base. Um, yeah. Hello,
Funny
Elsie.
that you know that.
Huh?
It's funny that you know that.
Why is it funny? I know that.
How do you know what makeup items are made out of?
I just made it up just now. Okay. You see? It's like this is the sort of the teaser act, the warm up comic beforehand, you see? Get the people warmed up, you see? Um, because it's actually quite it's a point though, because to go into anything, any kind of performance, people usually, athletes warm up, stretch their muscles, things like that.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. If this is your first time, I'm Elsie and this is
Tony,
Okay Tony. What are we talking about today?
and we're talking about something which you suggested, and I'm very, very pleased. We're talking about Stop Oil, Just Stop Oil.
Yes,
What makes you so interested in Just Stop Oil, Elsie?
I just think it's a very interesting campaign.
Okay.
I think it's one of the most interesting campaigns that I've come across because when it comes to, say, doctors protesting, you know exactly what they're protesting about and they want more pay. And for what? So they can take care of their families because, like, inflation is going high
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Or take Arabian countries, for instance, when people are protesting against, is it the hijab? Or people getting killed because they wouldn't wear a hijab. I mean, you know exactly what
Sure.
they are fighting for, and it's for the right to life and for the right to freedom and for the right to the freedom of expression. When it comes to the Just Stop Oil campaign, though, I mean, I know why they're saying to stop oil, but I do think that it's one of those things where it's like, okay, stop oil, and then what?
Well, the movement really don't really come up with a solution to that.
No,
That's
that is a scary thing. Because
well,
then, I mean, I feel like, yeah, you've made my points. Because with most movements, it's like, you know what the conclusion is. Even the feminism movement, even though we've like gone downhill. But I mean, at the start of it, it was like, okay, can women go to school so that we can, like, you know, do this X, Y, Z. We want to be able to stand for ourselves. I feel like for every movement, it's sort of like, yeah, it's can we do X so that's Z, or
right.
like they say exactly what they want, but then with a Just Stop Oil, it's like the Let's Stop Oil, and then
You say it then. Well, in some ways, it's not been a particularly well thought out movement because usually you need to be able to say, well, okay, we need to stop that, and then what do we put in its place, if anything? And we can talk about solar power, we can talk about all sorts of things, which incidentally is great. I think we should use more of it because the sun is there providing energy all the time. But as far as really, I feel we should all be grateful that there are reserves of fossil fuel, oil in particular, because I mean, as we sit here just now talking to each other, just so much stuff around about us has a petrochemical base,
yeah,
you know, and it has right to be in people's lives. The people who are watching this just now, the device they're watching on,
yeah,
how many percent plastic is it? Where did that plastic come from? It didn't grow on a tree. And if you tried to make a phone which grow on a tree, you would, I'm not saying it would be impossible, but it would take a fair amount of work. And it would be fairly heavy to lug around as well. But never mind. But no, they haven't thought really through. But, this will sound like a wild conspiracy theory, but a lot of people who are involved in this genuinely feel they're trying to do good for the planet.
right.
They're trying to do good not just for the planet, but for other human beings who, when they have an awakening, will actually bless them for it. You're doing this on our behalf just now.
Yes.
But there are a lot of the motives behind this, which are really to cause disruption and damage to society as we know it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the ways that people are being used, well-meaning, well-intentioned people,
Yes.
because look at the harm that this is doing. I mean, disrupting people's lives.
Yes.
And it's always the poorer people who get disrupted or harmed more, because the rich can insulate themselves from this kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
there's traffic jams being caused there. That's okay, I'll take my helicopter. You know, well,
That's a bit extreme, but
yes.
I mean, you talk about the poor are the ones who suffer from these things, and I think recently we're listening to the lady, the care worker,
Yeah. Oh, the one
the
in
safe,
London, that's
yeah,
right,
the
yeah.
safe zones. And I feel like you make a really important point when you say that these things are not well thought of,
Yeah.
because it's like, yeah, we all know that these things are harmful to the environment.
Right.
Like, take for instance, okay, in Ghana where I come from, it used to be a greater percentage of the population using firewood to cook, and then all of a sudden, obviously, the fight for climate action started, which Ghana got signed on to. It's a whole thing with the UN. And then it was like, okay, you need to use LPG gas to cook, right?
Yeah.
Because cutting down trees is so harmful to the environment, which is funny because trees can grow,
Well,
right?
yeah.
Like, but if you also take away the fact that trees, you can replant trees, and you analyze how LPG gas is actually
Mhm.
gotten in the first place. But then we were told that, oh, cutting down trees is so harmful to the environment that we need to migrate from cutting down trees to using LPG gas,
Yeah.
which was a little bit like, because
Hello. Sorry for the break in this recording. We were interrupted by a knock at the door. It was Amazon, of course.
it was Amazon.
Yes, delivering.
He's addicted to Amazon.
Right. I mean, they're trying to do their bit by using electric vehicles as well. But you know, they certainly use a lot of oil in their deliveries and in their products. Funny enough, there's a fair amount of hypocrisy and misunderstanding around the whole subject as well. The largest wood-burning power station in the world, I think, is called Draxis in England.
Mm-hmm.
It burns trees. It used to burn coal. Coal was considered dirty,
Right.
so they could burn trees. It's been given a certificate for being clean because it's burning renewable trees. As you see, you can plant them.
Right.
However, trees don't grow overnight like the magic
No,
beans.
they
They
don't.
take time. You can burn them a lot quicker than you can grow them.
True.
And if there was a solution to it growing quicker, I'm sure it would involve petrochemicals, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But the actual fact is the emissions from that power station, and this is checkable, the emissions in that power station now, burning wood pellets, which they're dragging from all over using steamships or whatever to bring them in, you know, the emissions from that are greater than when it used to burn coal.
Oh.
Uh-huh. But the government doesn't want to admit that it made a real mistake.
No. Do you think that when it comes to this whole sustainability fight, people focus more on how the thing is produced as opposed to the byproduct of how? Because I think, I'm not very sure, but I think someone was doing an analysis
Yeah.
on electric vehicles.
Mm.
And I think they were talking about, yeah, it doesn't run on fuel, which is supposedly the evil one, but how, like, each of the parts are made.
Yes.
And I was just thinking, and like you say, the hypocrisy, because then we can't just take a little bit of the whole situation and decide this is good and this is bad, right? Like, how about we take the whole process from the start to the
From the
finish?
start to finish,
Like,
yeah.
take a car that runs on diesel, how diesel is produced, and then the the exhaust fumes that diesel produces, and then take an electric car, and then how each of the parts of the electric car produce.
Right.
And then if you analyze both of them, and then truly the cost, like, you know, an economics student will tell you the cost effect, like, you know, is it really?
Well, I was going to say I don't have a diesel car now, but I did have, and I'm not saying that to be virtuous. It's just so happened that I've got petrol ones now, but they are old cars,
Right.
and they are not efficient in the modern sense of the word. But in one sense, I think I'm doing my bit contributing there, because we're not to replace a vehicle. You've got, well, not just the expense, but in terms of the manufacturing process,
Right.
the materials that are being used, the energy that's being used to produce that car, and then, okay, it may be a slightly more fuel efficient one when it's made, but it's been made, and then you've got to dispose of the old one.
Yeah.
So I'm not sort of loading the system in any way like that. I'm using old cars, not efficient in petrol usage, but overall it's very efficient, because the same old car,
Right.
which is like 20 years old,
Yeah.
is not
Right, and that's what I'm talking about by looking at the overall picture, right? Because
Yeah.
then if you think about it in terms of its fuel efficiency, then maybe not. But then in terms of, will you choose that over having to buy a new car? Then it's probably more environmentally friendly, actually,
to use
to use the old car.
Well, yeah,
Dare I
but
say.
at least it needs to be sort of looked at seriously, rather than just sort of the headline, oh, this uses that and that
Yes.
uses the other.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you know, this is really fascinating. But we should really do a whole day program on this.
Actually.
But yeah, as far as the Just Stop Oil movement is concerned, I think they're basically coming at it from the wrong angle.
Yeah.
They're looking at lots of things which have happened in history, and people say we can't get involved with thinking about the next step. We've
Right.
just got to do this. Okay, there's some sense there, but they're not really considering the people whose lives or livelihoods they're
Yes.
destroying in the
Yes.
process. And of course, when I said about the conspiracy theory, that some of the forces behind this are not really interested about what comes next. They're not interested in what they're interested in doing is upsetting society, because you regard our present type of society
Yeah.
as being something really, really bad, rotten. And yes, there are many things wrong with society, sure,
Right.
but the idea that we need to sort of throw everything away and start from scratch,
Yes.
you know, I mean, the human race has done that in a way long before ever anybody, you know, built a petrol-using car or used a gas boiler or anything else like that. You know, we call it the Stone Age. You know, there was nobody causing any great emissions then. You know.
No.
So
Anyway, we have come to the end of our program.
yeah.
If-
And there must be somebody watching this
Yes.
whose feathers have been ruffled, who feel they've got more to say
About
on this than we've covered. Please,
comment
yeah,
or contact our social media pages, and we will get back to you.
absolutely.
Yes. If you've watched to this point, I'm sure you're enjoying the program. Kindly like, comment, subscribe,
Share.
and until next time, it's bye for
Bye
now.
for now.
If you like this video, kindly like, comment, and subscribe. You can also find us on other social media platforms, on Twitter at Talk with Tony and on Instagram at talkwithtony.live. Don't forget, live, laugh, and most importantly, love. Watch out for the next video. It's bye for now.